In this video demonstration, we're going to be taking a look at MatMaker Pro version 3. Now, MatMaker Pro version 3 now comes with Pixel Creator Pro. So this is just another design tool that you'll be able to take advantage of and create some great looking products with. And this is an example of a 3-opening mat that we created very quickly and easily, and I think you'll be surprised at the products that you can create with MatMaker Pro that your clients are going to be more than willing to pay for. So what we're going to show you is how to recreate the layout that you see here with the 3-opening mat. Now, one of the questions that we get quite often is what are the differences between MatMaker Pro, which comes with Pixel Creator Pro, and the Easy Mats Designer? Well, we have video tutorials on Easy Mats Designer that I would certainly encourage you to take a look at. The two products do create a similar effect. The difference is MatMaker Pro is an older standalone product that used to be sold as a standalone product that we now bundled in with Pixel Creator Pro. It's still a great tool, but it does have its limitations. And one of the limitations with MatMaker Pro is we can only create rectangle image openings. So we can quit vertical or horizontal, it doesn't matter, but they can only be a rectangle. Whereas with Easy Mats Designer, we have more flexibility to doing odd shapes, ovals, letters, and the like. So we have more flexibility with Easy Mats Designer in terms of the type of opening that we can create, and also the way that Easy Mats Designer works is a little bit more automated than the older MatMaker Pro. But that said, we can still create some great looking products with MatMaker Pro, and that's what I want to show you how to do here. So let's go ahead and close this layout. And just like when we're doing an album or a marketing piece, we need to create a blank canvas to work with. So in Pixel Creator, we'll choose the New Document tool, and we'll start off with a basic 10 by 20 canvas. And I'm going to clear out my guidelines, and I'm going to click on the Guides tool here in Pixel Creator Pro. And I'm going to add a 1.5 inch margin, and then on the left I'm also going to add a 2.5 margin, and on the right I'm going to add a 2.5 margin, and I'm going to choose this option, center vertical. And watch what happens when I hit process. I get a whole bunch of guidelines. Now to do that in Photoshop is a time-consuming, painstaking process, but having that guide tool here in Pixel Creator Pro makes it super simple. Now I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit and go into Adobe Bridge here, and I actually have a folder. Now this is just an example of an image opening that I've already created with MatMaker Pro. In the second part of this video, I'm actually going to show you how I created this image opening. But once I've already created it, I'm simply going to open it in Photoshop. And you can see that I've already created a great looking double bevel effect, and all I need to do is grab my move tool and drag and drop from my layers palette into my new layout beyond, and then I'm simply going to free transform it and place it within this new layout, and I'm going to snap it to those guidelines that I created. Pretty simple so far, right? One thing when we're working with MatMaker Pro and we're working with these pre-designed component openings is we want to, up here in Photoshop, we want to change the option to auto select group. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this group, and the quickest way to do that when we're in the move tool is simply hold down our Alt key and click and drag. And that will create a duplicate for us. I'm then going to free transform that and position it right here in the middle of our layout. Once that's positioned, I'm going to duplicate it one more time. And again, free transform. And this time we're going to tuck it up into the upper right hand corner. And then I could go ahead and close this component because we no longer need it. So that's not too tough, right? So now that we have all of our image openings that we're going to be using for this layout, now we want to create an outer mat. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just set our foreground color. I'm going to use a light shade of gray. I'm going to click on my background color square, a little bit darker shade of gray. Okay. So all I need to do then is to go into MatMaker Pro, and the way we get into MatMaker Pro is under Utilities. We want to choose right here MatMaker Pro 3, and that will bring up a whole new series of buttons. And we want to choose this button right here, which is our Create Outer Mat Layer. So I click, MatMaker Pro goes to work. It finds how many image openings I have. It can be as many as we want. It finds how many I have, and then it simply creates a new layer, and you can see that I have the transparent openings here over here in the layers palette where I have 3 openings. The only other thing I might want to do is come into my layout tools, and my background layer is the secondary matte layer, which in this case is white. So if I want to give it a little color, I can come into layout tools and simply choose fill background, and it'll fill the background with whatever my foreground color is. And that's it. That's all there is to creating a great looking double matte, and it's super realistic. I definitely would encourage you to make a couple and get them printed with some images and stick them on the wall in the studio, and I bet you'd be really surprised at how people will react to these realistic looking digital mats. And it's just another way for you to make $1 with your customer. So definitely take advantage of that. Now, how did we go about creating that image opening? And that's what I'm going to show you in our second part. So in the first part of the video, we saw about how we created a great looking digital mat with a pre-designed image opening, and it only took really just a matter of a minute or two to create a great 3 opening mat. Well, what if I want to create the image opening itself? How do I go about doing that? And that's what we're going to show you here. So let's go ahead and close out this layout, and let's begin by creating a new blank document. And it could be any size that we want to use. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and utilize a particular size. So let's go with, let's say I want to create a 4x5 opening, so I'm going to make it 1 inch larger. So for the width, we'll go 5 inches, and then for the height, we'll go 6 inches. So there's a basic 4x6 image. I'm going to clear out my guidelines. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on Guides, and we're going to add a margin guideline of 1 inch, so that I know that what I have left here is a 4x5. And I'm just a little Photoshop tip for you. If I make a selection using that guideline, I can bring over my info palette, and you can see that I'm actually 3x4, and that's because I made my guidelines too large. So we'll click on Guides, and we actually want to add a guideline of a 1/2 inch guideline. So now when I make my selection, it is in fact the 4x5 opening that I was originally looking for. Okay? So then what I'll do here is I'll come in here, and I'm just going to choose the Add Aperture function here in Pixel Creator Pro to actually create my 4x5 image opening. I'm going to go ahead and clear out all my guidelines just to kind of simplify things. And then I'm going to use the Guides tool here in Pixel Creator Pro. And for the margin, let's do a -1/4 inch. We're going to need those when we add the outside bevel. Okay? So I have my image opening selected here. I'm going to come back into Utilities, back into MatMaker Pro, and we're going to build the image opening that we used for that 3 opening mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Create Mat Opening, and we do want to do this in order. So we want to create the mat opening before we create the outer bevel. So you can see what we have is a series of gray lines around our image opening, and I have this selection box that I just have to reposition and snap in the top left corner. I hit return or enter on my keyboard, and then I position it over here to the top right corner. It'll snap right to those guidelines, and that does that by default. And then the bottom left corner, each time as it snaps to those guidelines, I hit enter on my keyboard, and it moves on to the next one, and then I slide it over here. And what it's actually doing is it's creating that bevel. You can see you have a nice beveling happening in the corner, and that's really all there is to it. but it's a two-step process. We create the mat opening, and then from there we have to create the outer bevel, but it's the process is the same. So now we have the mat opening, and you can see that we have a new mat bevel layer. And so all I'm going to do for the outer bevel is I'm going to make a selection using these guidelines and I'm using my rectangular shape tool here in Photoshop. And then you can see I have a new shape layer, and then all I have to do is create outer bevel. So we'll go ahead and click on create outer bevel. And the process is exactly the same. So we just slide this up here, hit enter, move it over to the top right corner, and we want to make sure that we're snapped to the right guideline. And if you make a mistake, well, then you have to start over, because there is no undo. That's the one drawback. And that's it. So we have a 1/4 inch offset. In this particular example, I did a 1/4 inch offset, and the image opening is a 4x5. I'm going to go ahead and just clear out my guidelines. And then what I'll do here is I'm just going to take the mat bevel and our image box and actually combine it to the mat opening group just by click and drag. So that is all one contained group. Okay? So let's go ahead and save this. And we'll do sample opening 02. Okay? And so we know that the overall width of this entire configuration that we just created, the box itself is 4x5, but then we have a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch on either side, so that we know that the overall width is 4.5 inches. Okay? So you want to go ahead and use this to create a new mat layout. I'll show you how that works. Let's go ahead and close this out. Or actually, I tell you what, let's leave it open because we're going to need it. So let's click on Create New Document, and let's go ahead and use this. So we're going to do a 6x30 for this example. So I'm actually going to clear out my guidelines, and we'll just do a 6 inches wide, 30 inches tall. And I'm going to use my quick guides here to do a vertical guideline. That'll get me a guideline right down the middle of my 6-inch wide document here. And all I'm going to do here is just, with my move tool, drag and drop from my layers palette from one document to another. Just like so, and then I can close that out. I don't need that anymore. And I'll go ahead and make this a bit wider here. There we go. And then all I'm going to do is free transform and snap this mat opening group right to that guideline like so. Then I'm going to use my duplicate feature by holding down my Alt key, and I'm going to duplicate this group. And I just drag it straight down. And one more time, I'm going to drag it straight down. And I can just keep on dragging as many copies as I want. I think that looks good. In this little space down here at the bottom, we could put a studio logo, we could put a school logo, we could put the name of a high school senior, whatever you want to do, right? So now all I have to do is click on the Create Outer Mat function here in MatMaker Pro, and it goes to work finding all of our image openings, which in this case is only 4. And there's our new outer mat layer, and that color could be anything. See, so I have a nice blue, and then it's just a matter of dropping in our image files. And once we create this template, we can save it as a new layered Photoshop file, and we can use it again and again. But the nice thing is by creating our image openings in a separate file, we can drag and drop those into any new configuration that we want. So we can create all kinds of different squares and rectangles, both vertical and horizontal, and then we can just drag those pre-designed image openings right into our layout and create all types of different configurations. So take advantage of the MatMaker Pro and make some of these digital mat layouts, and I think you'll find that your clients will be really intrigued by them and be willing to invest in them. Thanks for watching.